Hey, I wanted to introduce you week 7 to I guess you could call it a wrap up, but it's not going to sound like a wrap up, but it really is. This will give you an idea of just what you're working with as you deal with your. I'm sorry, I'm having a couple of really cool thoughts to bring into this conversation. Dealing with human emotion and has to these things work toward personality. They're components in a sense of personality, not in the traditional way, but it'll add to your understanding, hopefully, of what we've talked about all along. I think our last discussion was Bandura. So this is within the realm of theory and well proven. So if that made any sense at all, I hope it did. But as I go through this, you'll understand what I'm trying to tell you. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about the foundations of human emotion. Does human emotion play a role in your personality? Sure it does. It's part of it. And what's been established are 7 core emotional patterns. And so I want to address those quickly. Human emotions are the invisible but incredible, powerful forces that guide behavior. It shapes relationships, emotion does. It can even influence your health. And obviously will have an effect on your decision making. So if you want a name to throw in here, it would be Jack Panksepp. He did some of the groundbreaking studies, and what was basically learned from his work is that emotions are not just learned responses, but they're really built into your biology. And they guide survival and social connection. I think you'll see that when you read this chapter in your textbook. So let's look at these very quickly. 7 primary emotional systems. Okay, they are systems. For positives, namely seeking, lust, care, and play. And I'm going to go over those briefly. And then there are 3 negative emotions. But these negative emotions are not like sad depression kind of thing unless they're misused. These are fear, anger, and sadness. So let's start talking about the positive ones first because they're more easily understood, and then we'll talk about the negative ones last. And the first one, of course, is seeking, the seeking system. That's your curiosity system, namely intrinsic curiosity. So, not to overuse the word namely. It's your drive to explore what's around you. It's what drives you toward learning, discovery, problem solving. Causes you to feel a sense of anticipation. It's motivating. It keys your interest in something. Makes you want to investigate new ideas. Makes you want to be proactive. And it makes you want to be creative. Excuse me, I'm sorry. It's early in the morning here. It's related to dopamine function. So, dopamine has to do with thrill. Studies have been done with veterans returning with PTSD and depression, and one of the things that was determined is that there is a thrill, obviously a thrill component to going to war, and some veterans come back and they've established this need for that kind of a incredible thrill, and that's a dopamine thing. So there are various ways that that's being addressed now, thank goodness, for folk who have been over in those situations. So dopamine's a powerful thing. If your system is working properly, and that's only the part that we're going to deal with, I'm not going to go into any disorders, but if it's working as it should, then it's really a major part of healthy mood and healthy social engagement. When it's not handled properly, or when a person tries to suppress that, as in depression, then sometimes there are problems with apathy and even depression to the point of disinterest in living. Not a good thing. So there's good and bad sides to this positive side. The next one, the second one, is lust. And right away people go, oh boy, that's that sexually immoral stuff. No. Lust sounds like a simple thing related to reproduction, but it's more than that. It has to do with formation of bonds. It has to do with obviously procreation. It generates things like attraction. It causes desire. It directs you toward intimacy. If it's driven hormonally, or rather it is driven hormonally, testosterone, estrogen, and oxytocin. Some people aren't familiar with oxytocin. Then it has some association with some powerful psychological stuff. It is psychological. There is an association between lust and attachment, pleasure, and even self-expression. You are going to exhibit self-expression in given social circumstances. Desire, need, bonding, etc. So what is this connection directed toward? Identity, wild one. Romantic connection, a need that you're born with. Everybody wants to be a part of the human race if you're a human being, and you want to have some intimate relations. You want to be with someone. That's normal. So it even can have an effect on your creativity. So there are your first two, seeking and lust. Number 3 is called care, the care system. This relates to nurturing, caregiving, compassion. These would be altruistic kind of things. But biochemically, if you want to associate it with one of the hormones, it'd be oxytocin. This has to do in the realm of bonding and emotional closeness. So your care system is in the realm of social cooperation. But it also includes emotional intelligence. What is emotional intelligence? It's a management system. You have to have control over your emotions. If you've heard people say emotional train wreck. Well, it's somebody that doesn't manage their emotions, and it's not their fault. This is going to be a thing related to attachment. This is going to also be a thing related to your temperament, whether you're feisty, slow to warm up, or easy. The 3 major categories, and then there's one that's kind of mixed. Thomas and Chess did the work there. But this emotional closeness, a need. Human beings need other human beings. I mentioned that. If you don't have all of that, then society falls apart. So what does care do? I mentioned altruism. That's sincerity. Caring for somebody because you really and truly do care about their well-being. So this leads into what's known as attunement. That's the cohesion, that's the coordination of society. It leads to patience, and it even leads to self-sacrifice if needed for the well-being of others. And then finally, there's play, the play system. It's kind of underrated in a way, but it is a powerful emotional system. And it's how we relax. And it includes things like spontaneous social interaction, sporting events, etc. But it does have an important set of components with it. Some learning that takes place. You learn about boundaries. You learn about building trust, and you learn about practicing social rules. Children and adults can learn from play. Obviously, adults aren't going to be playing children's games, but they will be doing adult playful activities. Golf. I don't play it. I used to. Reduces stress, not just golf, but play activities. It improves cognition. It can enhance creativity. But this part about practicing social rules, that's probably the most important part of this. Some would argue that reducing stress, well, sometimes play can cause stress, but practicing social rules, the social contract that was talked about by Lawrence Kohlberg when he developed his theory of moral development, talked about social contract, social rules. I want to behave and be law-abiding because I want you to do the same thing. That's what a social contract is. We're having a major failure in that in modern times. So let's slip over from positive to negative. Let's transition over. Positive emotional things help you to grow and connect. Now, you heard me say earlier, negative in this sense is good when we talk about these systems. Well, here's why. They're protective. It may be that they're unpleasant in their action, but they are based on survival function. So what does that mean? It means that your things like fight or flight system, where you either run from danger or you fight against danger to survive. And it also includes something called mourning. You have to mourn. You have to grieve over things. That's psychologically healthy. It's not pleasant, right? But if you don't go through the grieving process, if you don't allow it to run its course, then you wind up with some somewhat severe psychological problems, particularly depression. So the three that I mentioned earlier, fear, anger, and sadness, that's what we're going to talk about for the next few minutes, and then we'll be done. Fear, that's your warning sign in your brain. That's your alarm system, I think your textbook calls it. It's a preparation to survive. Run away from danger or fight against it. And it doesn't matter if it's a real thing or a perceived thing. Matter of fact, stress is a perceived thing in some cases. And this addresses that. This has been around since the inception of mankind. It happens quickly, and it's deeply ingrained in your psyche. And if you want the brain section that controls this is the amygdala, you don't have to worry about that. What does it do? It causes more awareness. You become more acutely aware of what's around you. Your heart rate goes up. Your muscles tense. Stressful things happen. Your breathing increases. It's a vital thing for survival. Sorry, my phone's blowing up. I didn't mute it. It's vital for survival. But if it is running out of control, then it can cause disorders. can cause phobias. This perceived danger that's not really there, or discomfort, or whatever the case is, can also cause anxiety. So it has to be monitored. If you're having trouble with it, it may require counseling to fix it. So if it's healthful, if it's healthy, then it can protect you. If it's not functioning properly, then it can cause difficulties. So you have to be keenly aware of what's going on around you, so that you know how your fear system is working. Anger is the next one, next to the last one, and then that's based on a lot of things. And its genesis is from threat. Doesn't have to be physical threat. It can be your self-esteem. It can be your safety. It can be somebody taking your stuff. What anger does is it sets boundaries. It makes you take action. Now, I mentioned dignity / self-esteem. This is a very powerful thing. Self-esteem can be the source. Self-esteem destruction can be the source of some horrendous repercussions, including murder. So don't underestimate self-esteem. If you use anger constructively, it can transform your situation into something better. That's kind of a hard concept to understand. I'm angry about this, not as this person per se, but maybe it includes a person. I'm angry about this, but I'm not angry in the way that I'm going to go do harm. I'm angry in that this is going to lead me, because I'm angry, I'm going to take acceptable steps to change this situation. So I'm not going to do this, or I'm going to do that, but not violently. I'm going to change these things in a thoughtful way. Hope that makes sense. If you don't control it and you strike out, then it becomes harmful. So, lastly, sadness. Of course, this is the way you deal with loss, disappointment. I think your textbook includes something called disconnection. That can cover a lot of things. Sadness kind of makes you turn inward. This is part of the grieving process, by the way. May cause you to think back over what has happened. Hopefully it makes you seek comfort. If you're sad, you may turn to professional help, or you may turn to your friends, something that helps you heal. So we want to avoid it when we can, but it is vital in emotional function. Mourning, I mentioned earlier. What do you do when you mourn? You're actually paying homage. You're honoring. If it's, let's say it's a person, you're paying homage and honoring that. Can you mourn over something that's not alive? Yeah. But you're not paying honor or homage to it. You're sad. That would move this from mourning into sadness. Changing jobs and leaving friends behind, for example. So it has to be managed. If it's chronic and unresolved, if this is something that you dwell on, like depression, but short term is built into you and it's healthy. So there you have it. 7 core parts of emotion. Hope that helps you understand a little bit more about personality and the depth of the studies that have gone into trying to figure out what human personality is all about. All right. Hope you had a good semester. Enjoyed the session.